Now we are starting the press briefing with Minister Kamikawa. Minister, you will have the floor. I have two topics today. The first topic is about a typhoon. A very large typhoon is now traveling through Japan, and due to linear precipitation belts, lots of damages such as floods occurring across the country, and lots of impact is taking place on lifelines such as water and electricity as well as public transportation. I cannot begin to imagine the magnitude of concern of people, but I urge people to take behaviors to protect the lives. And I acknowledge that there are already casualties and those whose safeties are known. And I'd like to extend my condolences to those who lost their lives as well as those who suffered damage of the typhoon.
My second point. If circumstances permit, I will be visiting Australia from September 4 to 6 to attend the 11th Japan-Australia Foreign and Defense Ministers Talks 2+2. This will be my first visit to Australia since I became the foreign minister. As the security environment surrounding Japan becomes increasingly severe, it is essential to strengthen security cooperation with allies and like-minded countries who share the same values. From this perspective, I held the 2+2 with the United States and the Philippines last month, and recently with India. Next week, the meeting will be with Australia, so 2+2 meetings with 4 countries in 2 months shows our country's increasing security policy. Australia is a special strategic partner that will work closely together to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific based on the same strategic interests. At this 2+2, I will be joined by Defense Minister Kihara and Foreign Minister Wong and Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister Miles to have a frank exchange of views on strategic issues in the security environment. In particular, we will focus on the following 2 points. First, the deepening and broadening of Japan and Australia's security cooperation, which is now broader and stronger than ever before, and cooperation in new areas, as well as cooperation between Japan, US, and Australia to further strengthen mutual cooperation. Second, we will promote Australia-Japan cooperation to realize FOIP and discuss specific directions to work together to maintain and strengthen a free and open international order based on the rule of law, while engaging with our partners in the region as a core of a partnership of like-minded countries. Further, during this visit, we will hold the Japan-Australia Foreign Ministers meeting to talk about bilateral relations and regional affairs. That is all from me.
If you have a question, please raise your hand, and when you are called, please say your name and affiliation and before asking a question. Now, Kamimura-san from Yomiuri newspaper. I'm Kamimura from Yomiuri newspaper. The other day, the Chinese military aircraft had the invasion of Japan's territorial air. I have a question about this. The Chinese the Deputy Press Secretary Lin Juan said that China does not have the intention to invade territorial area of any country, and Japan and China is continuing communication through established channels. And is Japan urging on China to provide explanation? And what is the reaction from China at this moment? Thank you. Regarding the invasion or incursion of territorial air of Japan by the Chinese military aircraft, this is invasion of Japan's sovereignty, and it is a threat to our safety, and we cannot accept such incident. And from Japan's Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, the protest was issued to China while we asked for the prevention of recurrence. Through diplomatic route, Japanese government is asking China continuously to provide a thorough explanation on the root cause. In any case, as Japan, we have the resolution to protect the territorial air, land, and water of Japan. We are going to make an argument that we should, and we are going to stay calm and firm in our reaction.
Next question, Igarashi-san from NHK. I am Igarashi from NHK. My question is about the situation in Ukraine. President Zelensky of Ukraine, on the 27th, made it clear that he intends to show to President Biden of the United States in September the plan to end the invasion by Russia. And he says that he wants to conclude the war under fair conditions for Ukraine, which is a part of the attack into Russia. What is the understanding of the Japanese government? On the 27th, President Zelensky, I understand, held a press conference that he intends to show the plan to a victory of Ukraine in September to President Biden and Vice President Harris and former President Trump. He plans to explain this plan to the both candidates of presidential elections as well. I know there are many movements about this situation in the international community, and on this subject, I'm watching with strong interest, but at the moment, it's too early to make any comments. In any event, as the government, our position of continuing our response standing close to Ukraine remains unchanged. We will continue to take appropriate responses, keeping watching the international community movement on the situation of Ukraine.
Next question, Imai-san from Hokkaido newspaper. I'm Imai from Hokkaido newspaper. Regarding Russia, I have a question. So the Russian presidential office on the 29th said that on the 3rd of September, President Putin will be visiting Mongolia. Mongolia is a member state of ICC that issued arrest warrant against Putin, so Mongolia has obligation to detain us suspect. But Mongolia seems to have agreed to Russia not to arrest Putin. But after the issuance of the arrest warrant by ICC, it's the first time for President Putin to visit Mongolia. What is Japanese government's take about this? And is Japanese government going to urge Mongolia to detain President Putin? And also, President Putin is scheduled to attend the ceremony to celebrate the 85th anniversary of the victory of Nomonhan incident in Mongolia. So, regarding what is the Japanese government's reaction? Regarding the diplomatic activities among the third countries, I'd like to refrain from commenting on diplomatic activities among third countries. However, we are closely communicating with Mongolia day to day. Right now, Mongolia and Japan, through mutual efforts, have overcome past history, and we share the basic value, and we are the strategic partner for peace and stability, and we have unwavering relation of trust.
Mr. Zahari from Panoramic News.
Thank you, Khatun Azari, Panoramic News. My question is about TCAD conference. At that TCAD conference ended last week, the representative of the so-called Sahrawi Republic that Japan doesn't recognize attended the meetings after the foreign ministry granted them visas and allowed them to place their name plates, although MOFA said it didn't invite them and that they were instead invited by the African Union. Those name plates on the table caused some problems, as we saw on all the social media around the world. And this also created confusion about Japan's position on this issue. What is your reaction on what happened at that meeting and how Japan will deal with the issue in the next TCAD conference in Yokohama next year? Thank you.
At the SOM meeting, which is a preparatory meeting by the working level, held on the 23rd. I understand that some physical confusion happened among the delegations. No violence is ever allowed, and it's extremely regrettable that such a confusion happened. And the Ambassador Shimizu, in charge of TICAD, who was the chair, immediately asked the participants to be calm and maintain order, and ordered those who disturbed the order to leave. On top of that, the Japanese government mentioned to the delegations that it is regrettable and asked to prevent recurrence.
Next question from Bloomberg. Hasebe-san. I'm Hasebe from Bloomberg. Regarding Japan-US relation and Japan-China relation, as you run for LDP presidential election, what kind of diplomatic policy are you going to strike out? And since I became the foreign minister of Japan, I have dedicated myself to diplomacy under 3 policies of protecting the national interest of Japan and raising the presence of Japan and deploying diplomacy that's understood and supported by the Japanese people while listening to voices of Japanese people. And as I have done so, I have always felt the significance of trust and expectations built by Japan as a peaceful nation over 80 years after the World War II. And in this day and age, the world is now facing division and confrontation. In this kind of situation, we should place the rule of law and the dignity of human beings at the center, and we should place a value on diversity and inclusiveness, and such delicate roles are expected of Japanese diplomacy. Japan-US diplomacy is the cornerstone of Japanese diplomacy and security policies. Indo-Pacific region and international peace, inter-society's peace and prosperity depend on Japan-US partnership. So Japan-US are global partners that work on challenges faced by international society. Earlier, I received courtesy call by the U.S. bipartisan delegation led by Senator Hagati, and such Japan-U.S. alliance is supported by bipartisan members of U.S. Congress. That's what I felt strongly. The U.S. members are preoccupied with the U.S. election. But personally, through presidential election in the USA, how to create a nation where people can feel confidence. And regarding the future of nation, active discussions are taking place. That's what I've been told, and I am following the situation in the USA with interest. Continuously in various areas, including security, we would like to work closely with the USA. Regarding Japan-China relation, there are various opportunities while there are challenges and concerns. However, China and Japan are major countries that have the major roles to play for the peace and prosperity of the region and international community. Between Japan and China, we should promote comprehensively the strategic reciprocal relation, and through mutual efforts, we are working to create constructive and stable relation. That's our consistent policy. So in various areas at multiple levels, we would like to continue communication so that we can deepen and develop Japan and China relation. So beyond this, regarding the details of the policy, I'd like to speak about them at a different occasion. So that's all. Well, we are closing the press conference. Thank you.